Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And Lenny, it's always a great way to start off the week listening to your podcast at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to talk today about some bounce-back players in 2020. We're going to talk about some free agents and maybe some team needs of players who are still out there. And similar to what Lenny's doing, maybe a little spin-off of that, I want to take a look at a team this morning. I want to look at their future. How about that? I want to talk about the Texas Rangers. And of course, we know they signed Corey Kluber in the offseason. There's a lot of optimism around Arlington as we head into 2020, the beginning of the new decade. We got some pitchers, but we're going to talk about their farm system because it's really a secret hidden jewel, if you will, to me, the players that they have. I want to welcome into the chat room Corona Cyclonus, Dale, Doug Boyle, Lenny still hanging around. Good morning again, legend. Phil Chaplin, of course. Kevin Hastings is with us. Kevin's going to be following me up after this show. That guy, Timothy Hooker, and guest Camellia, whoever that might be. Let's talk about, though, first of all, guys, some players who have got to look for a bounce back in 2020. And I want to look in the chat room as we're going through this list, and I want to ask you, where do you think these guys, where are they drafted this year? Good morning, Royals 29 Boom. I know that to be Kevin Hastings. It's good to see you. Zelmo, good to see you. And so let's get into it. The first player I want to talk about this morning who has got to be looking forward to a better 2020 than he had a 2019 has got to be Jose Ramirez of Cleveland. Okay. So you take Jose Ramirez, who had consecutive third-place finishes in the American League Most Valuable Player Award voting. He takes a big step back in 2019. We know he had a slow start. We know he had a broken or a fractured right hamate bone that landed on the injured list. Thought he was going for the year, right? But he came back, did hit 255, with a 479 slugging percentage. He had a 106 OPS, 23 home runs in 129 games. Now, 23 homers in 129 games is not bad, but it's not good when your name is Jose Ramirez. So, what's going to happen? Well, if you think about what he did after he came back from the hamate bone, let's take a look at those numbers. Okay? He had a 313 average and a 643 slugging percentage with 41 extra base hits, 16 homers in 60 games. That was prior to the hamate injury. That was June 14th through August 24th. So he comes back from the injury, has somewhat of a good finish to the season. First of all, the thing that has stymied Jose Ramirez, would you not agree, has been these stretches at the beginning of the year where he just is not Jose Ramirez. Then he hits this hot streak. The problem is in fantasy, you never really know when the hot streak is coming. Now, fortunately for him, it has happened. He has gotten hot, overcome his, bad starts, if you will. But the point being, every year it seems Ramirez goes through these funks. And so now, coming off the hamate bone injury, coming off the slow start to 2019, certainly he's looking forward to a great start to begin the year, to improve upon that 255 average. So, here we go. And I know you're in the chat room. What round, let's say you're in a 10 or 12 team league, what round is Jose Ramirez drafted in this coming year? The hamate injury, the slow starts, he's usually a first-round pick. Is he a first-round pick in 2020 in your draft? Lenny ate ham. Maybe that's what causes the injury, Lenny. I don't know. But here we go. He's a great player. Cleveland looking to trade off Francisco Lindor. How will that affect the draft position of Jose Ramirez? And, Lenny mentioned it at 9 o'clock on his show that the Indians are now talking about dealing Clevenger. I read that. Listen to Lenny. Let's say they trade Clevenger. Lindor's not far behind. Don't you see teams possibly pitching around the great Jose as we go into 2020? Something to keep your eye on. And that's why I don't like these early drafts, because I like to know pretty much who's going to be surrounding a potential star player when I do my fantasy drafts. Now, Kevin and Lenny are in agreement that Jose Ramirez is a second-round fantasy pick. So you're talking about anywhere, depending on how many are in your league, from a pick number 11 through a pick number, 24 in your draft. Okay, we'll see. Keep your eye on Jose Ramirez. Keep your eye and ears on the Cleveland situation. Here's another player. The $300 million man. Yeah, he's otherwise known as Manny Machado. Now, Manny Machado came off what was probably his best season in 2018 and had possibly his worst offensive season after signing the huge contract with the Padres last offseason. 10-year, $300 million contract. Now, Manny last year did hit 32 home runs, and we know he's got a great glove. Now, fantasy, we could care less about the glove, but we know he's going to be playing every day. His WAR, how about this? 3.1 in 2019, half of what it was in 2018. San Diego goes 70-92, last place in the National League West. Machado's hard hit rate, 78th percentile. Average exit velocity, 87th percentile. Still very strong. He's 27 years old. I look for Manny Machado to have a better year in 2020. And I think I picked Machado ahead of Jose Ramirez in a draft. Now, several reasons for that. First of all, I like what San Diego is doing with their starting lineup. I love the fact that Tatis Jr. will be in that lineup all year. What is this? Kevin Hastings is telling me on the chat room that J-Ram is going ahead of Rendon. Are you joking? Ha ha! I don't like that. But I think Machado is going to be a sleeper. I really do. I don't think he's going to be a first round. I don't even think he's going to be a second round pick in this year's draft. What do you think, chat room? I see Machado being a third round, possibly a fourth round pick. And I'm going to tell you, if Machado goes around number 40 to 50, I got to jump in. I got to jump in on that draft and take a Manny Machado. Remember, 27 years old, even in a bad year, his hard hit rate was in the 78th percentile, his average exit velocity in the 87th percentile. He's going to put up the numbers. And now he's had a year to settle in with his age, with his team, where he's going to be in the order. I think Machado's a sleeper. I think he's somebody you better go grab in these. He's not going to go in the first or second round. Those days are probably over. But we know he has the ability, and at his age and with the underlying numbers, you got to get him if he goes after the fourth round. I think you guys a steal. Here's another one. Manny will retain shortstop eligibility too. So if he's shortstop third base, that adds more value to the pot. I love Manny Machado. I don't usually like Machado in fantasy drafts. And my reason being, I don't like him because in the past he's been a second rounder, first rounder. I don't like him there. I don't think he's that kind of player. Is he a fourth or fifth rounder? Hey, give me that. Give me that all day long. Here's another bounce back candidate. And I'm really, of course, I'm a little partial. How about the injuries that Giancarlo Stanton suffered in 2019? The Yankees win 103 games last year, despite putting 30 players on the IL, One of those being Giancarlo. Giancarlo plays in just 18 games. Left bicep strain, left shoulder issue, left calf strain. It's almost like the left side of his body, and then all of a sudden, the right side started failing him. His right knee sprain, right quad strain in the playoffs. Now, the Yankees have gone out and they have hired a new conditioning staff. I got to believe that the crux of those hires had to be issues concerning Giancarlo Stanton and the big contract he's under and the fact that he only played in 18 games last year. Now, because of the fact they won 103 last year, and I think we'll all agree, the Yankees are better today than they were at the end of the season when they won 103, due to the fact they've signed Giancarlo Stanton, and even if they trade him, Miguel Andujar coming back from injury, if they trade him, they get another player. If they keep him, he's a great hitter. They're a better team today on January 6th, 2020 than they were at the end of the season last year. They've got enough talent to get by even if Stanton misses times. But can you imagine if Giancarlo Stanton can play 140 games this year for the Yankees? What will his numbers be? Will he hit 40? I think so. I think in that Yankee lineup, if he can play in 140 games, he can hit 40 home runs. And so then my question is not how many games, not where the Yankees will finish. That's not my question. My question is simply this. Where do we draft Giancarlo Stanton, knowing you've got the injury risk, but knowing the upside potential in the player in that lineup, and he's 30 years old? Now, he's guaranteed, remember this, he's guaranteed $244 million through 2027. So as we're looking at bounce-back players, and that's the point of this segment, bounce-back players in 2020, and where do we draft them in fantasy? Where do we see Giancarlo Stanton? And let's put it in terms of the players we've discussed. How do you draft Stanton with regards to Manny Machado? Which player would you draft before the other? If we're talking about Machado being the 50th pick, let's just say, does Stanton come before that pick? Or does Stanton come after that pick? And I know you can say, well, you really don't know until we get into the draft and we start picking players and we see how players shake out. I get that. But just looking at the potential numbers they could put up, Doug Boyle says Stanton is a second-round pick that you could get in the third. I'm going to stretch it, Doug. Is he a third-round pick that you could get in the fourth? I'm just asking. Stanton is a second-round pick, if that's so, and you're in a 10 or 12 team league, then you're thinking about Stanton going anywhere from pick 13 through pick 24. Is that where Stanton falls in 2020? Is that the kind of player he is in 2020? Or is he more of a pick 24 through pick 40 kind of guy? I tend to think he's more in that second group. I think he's more around a number 40, put him in the fourth round, third or fourth round kind of kid. If I see somebody in my league picking Stanton in the top 2 rounds, I'm happy, because that means I get a player who I believe has less injury potential, because that's what I'm doing in rounds 1 and 2. I'm going solid. I'm not going out on a limb. I'm going solid picks in rounds 1 and 2. I want a player who's going to be on the field contributing on a daily basis. Give me a Bregman. Give me an Acuna. Of course, that's the first round pick, right? Give me a player who's going to be on the field playing every day. That is not Giancarlo Stanton. If he plays 140 games, consider yourself fortunate. If he does, he's going to put up the numbers. I put him anywhere in the third or fourth round. Let's move along. Let's tell you what, let's go to the Queen City.